Welcome to the Colorado Youth Outdoor Fly Tying Tutorials. My name is Ken Brink. I'm the fly fishing program lead here at CYO. We're very blessed here to introduce thousands of people into fly tying and fly fishing every year. Each pattern we're going to tie is going to teach some basic techniques that'll help you grow your skills in fly tying. We'll start with a photo and a list of materials for you, and then we'll get after it and just tie the fly. Then at the end, we'll summarize a little bit and give you a few fun facts to help you be successful out on the water. All right, our next fly is going to be the Bluegill Bug. Here's a finished bug. This is the fly that we're wanting to end up with. Very simple, impressionistic fly that looks like a lot of different things. But the great thing about us tying the Bluegill Bug is it's how we learn to put beads on the hook, and it's also how we learn how to do a dubbed body on a fly. The materials you'll need to tie this fly. First we'll go with the hook. This is an Umpqua U-Series Model 301 hook in a size 16. We find that this basic nymph hook is great for this particular fly. It's very durable. We've hooked bluegill on it. We've also landed 6-7 pound bass on this. So that hook works out great for us. We're going to be using a 3/32 of an inch brass bead on this. If you're going to fish this in heavy water or quick moving water, you might want to go with a heavier tungsten bead. But we're going to use 3/32 of an inch gold brass bead. The dubbing that we're using today is Hairline Ice Dub in Chartreuse. This is the color we use. This is a synthetic dubbing. There's a large variety of dubbing available out there for making bodies on flies. This synthetic dubbing is the one we're going to learn on today. The thread we're tying on is an 8/0 uni thread. We're tying it on an olive thread. We really like olive dun here. That's a great color that we use quite a bit. And we use this little bit thicker 8/0 uni. It's a round Dacron thread. We find it's pretty strong, and for beginners, they're less likely to break it. All right, so let's get going to tie the fly now. First thing we're going to have to learn how to do is how to put a bead onto a hook. Here's our hook again. You can see it's kind of got a longer shaft than some of them we use. It's going to be a little bit of a long bodied fly. And the key with this is we're going to pick this bead up either in a bead or in our fingers. And you're going to notice that this bead has a small hole on one side and a little bit of a tapped out larger hole on the other side. And you always want to put these beads on by stabbing the small hole onto the hook point. To be a little careful with your fingers, not to put the hook into your skin, obviously, that's a little less comfortable. And I always suggest that people work as close to the table as possible, so if you drop the bead, it doesn't fly off and you lose it. So I'm going to quickly do that here. I'm just setting this bead onto this hook point, like so, and I stabbed the small hole with the point of the hook. So now I have my bead on there. I'm just going to rotate that, and then we're going to put that hook in the vise like always. We want to trap the back bottom corner of that hook into the vise with the hook nice and horizontal and tighten it up. And now we're ready to start. As with other flies, we're going to give ourselves a little tag end piece of this thread coming out of our bobbin. I'm going to hold that with my offhand, and I'm going to begin wrapping thread with the bobbin. As discussed before, we try to keep the bobbin fairly close to the hook. Makes everything just go smoother and better. I'm going to remove the tag end by cutting the thread on the top of the hook shaft. Now that we have our thread attached, I am going to wrap that thread just perpendicular to the shaft of the hook with these nice touching wraps. And I'm covering that hook shaft with the green thread material. You will notice that now that I've gotten up to the point of the hook, that I have to wrap on a little bit of an angle. Otherwise, you're going to hear the sound that we've all heard fly tying, and that is you breaking your thread on that really sharp point that comes on that U-Series hook. All right, so we're done with that for just a little bit. I'm going to pull some of these fibers out of our chartreuse ice dubbing, and admittedly this is not the easiest dubbing in the world to dub with, but it's great for learning. If you can dub with the ice dubbing, you can dub with just about any other kind of dubbing. There's natural dubbing and synthetic dubbing and many colors. That's one of the most fun things about fly tying, is just learning about all these dubbing. So in order to put the dubbing onto this thread and build this dubbed body, we actually have to take these longer fibers and twist them onto the thread between our thumb and forefinger. We do that with a rolling motion, moving our thumb the same direction each time with a lot of pressure, and that's just going to roll those fibers onto this thread. Once we have them on there, we'll create what we call a dubbing noodle. So give me just a minute to put a few on there. I'm going to take a few of these. Don't take too many or it'll be really hard to do. We're just going to wrap some of those fibers between our thumb and forefinger until they look kind of like that. We call it a dubbing noodle. And once that dubbing noodle's on there, all you got to do is wrap that thread around that hook shaft, and we're going to start building the body of this fly. We pay some, if you can have some fiber sticking out like you see this one, that's actually kind of a good thing. The fish seem to like that. And there's no need to make this bug crazy tidy. It can look a little haphazard, and the fish will eat it even better from our experience here. So once I get that dubbing noodle made, I can kind of push it up towards the end of my thread. And again, I'm just wrapping my body on. And we're going to kind of make this body a little bit tapered. As we move up towards the bead and we apply more material every time, we're going to actually try to make this particular fly so that it's thicker in the front than it was in the back. You just keep wrapping it on there. Getting a little bit of a tapered body here. We're getting kind of close to the bead. Once we're up near the bead, this dubbing is actually going to hold that bead in place nicely for us before we finish the fly. So we're just making a little bit thicker in the top. I'll maybe just add a few more fibers and call this good. You can see this fly is almost done. Very simple fly, easy to tie. This dubbing's a little wild, but that's just the nature of working with ice dubbing. All right, at the end of this, all I'm going to do, like we've done on every fly, we're going to do a quick whip finish. At the end, that's going to tie the end of the thread down right behind that bead. 4 wraps. And then we have a finished bluegill bug. This bluegill bug, you can see it's a little crazy. If you think your bugs turned out too fuzzy when you're first dubbing, you might feel that way. It's real easy. If you want to take some fibers off, you can come in and grab them and pull them away. But I like to leave a few of those crazy fibers sticking out. Interesting things about the bluegill bug is that it's what we call an imitative fly. It looks a little bit like a lot of different things the fish might eat in the water. We think it imitates damsels pretty well, also caddis and even mayfly, and the fish really love it. And if you've been in the bass fishing world at all, you'll hear some of the pros say, if it ain't chartreuse, it ain't no use. So that's why we love this color. It seems to be a good fishy color, particularly for bass and bluegill, like we fish for so often. And it's very reflective. Both the bead and the body are very reflective. If you're not catching fish on this, we tell you the same thing with all these bugs. Vary your depth first, and then vary the way you're retrieving it. It might need to be moved. It might need to be just hung under a float and not moved. But experiment around. You're going to have a great time using the bluegill bug.